Uh, why am I making this video? I've had a temporary memory lapse. I'm sure I had a good reason, and it was something to do with Solomon. And oh yeah, oh, but that's what it is. Yeah, because I always make videos about the same thing. This is one of the reasons I'm able to make so many videos and put out a lot of volume, which is really high quality. People are just, I think people are so astonished by the high quality of my videos that they forget to thumb up them and, you know, share them with their friends and mentors and loved ones and stuff like that. But I don't blame them. I understand. I'm so dazzling, you know, for you people that it's difficult for you to comprehend and believe that someone like me actually exists in the real world. You know, you think you've had some kind of dream or something. Okay. So it's okay. I forgive you people. It's like I love you all, you know. Yeah, I love you all, you know. It's a hard thing, you know. It's like to actually say that and mean it, for me, it's quite a jump forward, you know. Because I know there's quite a few out there that are like real monsters, and you're quite difficult to love. You make it a bit challenging, you know. But even you guys, I include you. I include all of you. You know, don't ask me why. I can't explain it. I just feel better. I feel more grounded when I love everyone. I've got to get them. I knew this would happen. I was about to explain. I get doorbell stuff. Oh well, it's not I'm expecting deliveries, you know, and I just can't really put them off. But that wasn't one of them. That was just someone trying to waste my time. I hate how people are being paid to waste other people's time with adverts and stuff. I just had to run down 2 flights of stairs and back up again, so I'm a little bit out of breath now. And I've forgotten what I was making a video about. What was it again? Solomon. I know it was about the written word because Solomon, you know, in chapter 2 of Ecclesiastes, he talks about the written word in a roundabout way. I mean, in the Bible, they always talked about the written word in a roundabout way. There's never any real. This is something that you should be suspicious of, right? The whole of the Bible, there's no mention of how humans got the written word, right? And in all the mythologies, that you know, the Greek mythologies, the Norse mythologies, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it's also in the Hindu and Chinese mythologies. The written word was given to us by some kind of god. You know, like in Greek, it's Hermes. Romans, it's Mercury. He brought us the written word, you know, and Socrates was against it, and so they killed him. You know, is that why they killed him? We're not told. We're not told why they killed him. They told him that they didn't like him preaching to the young people his ideas, and so they made him drink poison, like hemlock. The way I understand it, you know, well, from my opinion, they made him like, because no one else ever mentions it. I've had this experience like recently where I'm starting to realize that nobody knows how to talk about the written word. I'm just foaming at the mouth a little bit, okay? I just have to swallow that foam to make me look more presentable on camera. So nobody can deal with talking about the written word. This is what I've realized. And there's a saying that I can't remember where it comes from, but there's a saying that if you want to know who controls you, and I would suggest interpose also the word what controls you, then just look around to see what you're not allowed to criticize. Now, from what I've learned over the last 5 or 6 years making videos about the written word and what a terrible thing it is, because nobody, literally no one, has really made a single comment on any of my videos, and I've had loads and loads of comments on it, you know, not loads, but you know, probably quite a few hundred comments, you know, from people, you know. I'm certain must be over 1,000, or even probably getting on for 10, you know, 10,000 comments, you know, or at least 5,000 or 6,000 comments on all my videos, and not one of them has addressed the subject of the written word. And I've mentioned it in probably in at least 100 videos, and no one has mentioned the subject of the written word and addressed anything I've said about it. Now, that to me is striking, you know, and I'm really interested in things like striking, you know. I mean, it's got me kind of fascinated. It's one of the reasons I've started this channel, is so that I could experiment with some of my ideas and put them across, because it's all an experiment. All life is an experiment. The written word is an experiment. You know, we're taking it so far, and I understand. This is really interesting for me because when I don't get any reactions from people when it comes to talking about the written word, and that it's such a huge, massive, and fantastically powerful influence on our lives. Now, essentially what humans have done is they've used the written word to take the place of God. That's how important it is. You know, we've given over power to the written word that otherwise would only have ever been like consciently allowed for like God himself, you know, or herself. And we've given it over to the written word, and we're allowing like power hungry egomaniacs to control this thing, you know. So you know, and it's kind of an experiment, and it's, as far as I can see, it's going wrong very quickly. We're in a man-made mass extinction event. It's clearly going wrong. It doesn't seem as though there are any sort of like safety measures in place. I think is important now is that we start building safety measures. We start creating communities like towns or villages, you know, that are self-contained and that have got all the ways of like supporting life indefinitely, which is very easy. It's not as if it's difficult. And it won't cost anything. It basically doesn't cost anything. You can easily set up a system like this. There's loads of places around the world that will be ideal for these kind of systems. Okay, and I just have to sort of like talk about it because it's so obvious, right? it seems as though humanity, for the most part, has got like a self-destruct kind of program that is operating. They're trying to self-destruct. But it's not just like the thing is, right? Even if it's most people are on this sort of self-destruct programming, again, it's like it's one of these things. It's like, like I just want to explain this, right? When you look at horror films, I mean, we all like horror films. I mean, a lot of us like horror films, right? I like horror films. I like watching horror films from time to time. I've watched loads of them, several hundred horror films that I've watched very seriously all the way through, and sci-fi things like Alien, and the more recent ones, I forget what they're called now, some of the names of them, but I've watched hundreds and hundreds of horror films, and I enjoy them. I enjoy watching them. I find them like exhilarating, exciting, But one of the things that always sticks with me is that you can nearly always spot there's like a scene or a couple of scenes where the main characters, are making really, really stupid fucking decisions. And it's every fucking horror movie you've ever seen. There's always the main characters making really, really bad decisions. And that's really where all the horrors come from. They're making such terrible decisions, and I always, there's a voice in my head that says, look at that, look, nobody in their right mind would make that stupid fucking decision, and it's like a characteristic of horror movies. You have to have a scene in there where the main characters, the heroes or whatever, they're making this really, really incredibly stupid fucking decision that's just going to totally ruin their lives. Whether it's going into the haunted house to spend the night, or allowing the zombie to live, when they should have killed it, or the vampire. They had a perfect opportunity to chop the vampire's head off, and they just instead ran away, allowing the vampire to stay alive and carry on, haunting everyone. And it's like that happens right at the beginning of all these horror movies. Oh, look, more foam. I'm foaming at the mouth again. Ah, dear. One of the things I like about this is that it's telling people, look how fucking stupid you are. It's trying to show a mirror up to how stupid people are and how they make the same old mistakes over and over again. Okay. So in chapter 2, in verse 19 of Ecclesiastes, who seems to be some kind of version of Solomon, he's saying, look, there is a man whose labor is in wisdom and knowledge and equity. This also is vanity and a great evil. He's talking about himself. Who else other than Solomon has got a job in wisdom, knowledge and equity? He's talking about himself, but if you look at what the academics say, he's talking about some obscure guy that doesn't really hardly ever affect anybody at all, and it can't possibly be anything to do with Solomon or the written word. And yet these are the things that people associate with the written word. Knowledge, right? The tree of knowledge. Wisdom. Oh, they become wise. Their eyes were opened up and they saw like the gods saw. They became wise, right? And equity, law. You are banished from the tree of the Garden of Eden, and I'm going to set like a cherub with a flaming sword to guard the way of the tree of life, See what it is, right? Humans have tried to take the place of God. It says in the New Testament, all the laws and knowledge in the Bible and all Scripture, all of it is contained within the human heart. And from what I understand and what I've learned, I can't prove it to you because you're mostly left-brain people, and you will only listen to people that have got loads of other people following them. The vast majority of people will only do something if there's loads of other people already doing it. You know. You people are so fucking immensely stupid. What it is, right? What you're doing is you're proving that you've absolutely no intention of ever learning to think for yourselves. The vast majority of you have never got any intention to learn to ever think for yourselves, right? So it's interesting for me when I follow this path of like talking about the written word being a great evil. I know that for a long time nobody's going to take me seriously. Like it's going to go on for like decades before I get a small group of followers that can take me seriously. It might be less than that, but it's already been 5 years and nobody even talked about it yet. So what I would like to reveal to you people, and it's really quite interesting and I find very amusing, is that it's like this philosophy is like a no compromise philosophy, and it's true. There's no escaping it. You people can't escape the truth. The truth is just what is, So if I'm getting to the heart of the truth and cutting through to it, right to the heart of it, and saying, look, this is the truth, and everyone else is silent, that is like the universe agreeing with me, And it's been silent for like 5 years. Imagine that, a 5-year silence. It's like this is like a hot potato, right? So what's known in the trade as a hot potato. Now I'm grabbing this hot potato, I'm juggling it around, and now I'm putting it down, and it's like a huge hot potato, already cooked. I'm just letting it cool down now, and I've got a free potato. This is like a free meal, and I can just keep doing this every day. I'm getting free stuff from this. It's like there are no risks. I don't really feel there are any risks. I mean, what's Google going to do? Come and sort of like send an assassin? Bring it on. It's like I'm past caring about things like that. I mean, it's not like I've got much control over this stuff anyway. One thing I have got, I don't even know how to make proper videos. I know technically I could go outside there, but as far as I'm concerned, the matrix is controlled. It's not like I can just go out and talk to people in the street, and sooner or later I will meet up with the right sort of person. I mean, in theory that would be the case, but in practice, if I'm not giving out the right vibe, only the worst possible people will latch onto me, and there will be like agents. And I've already been through that, No, I think like the seconds are ticking away in such a way that it's neither me nor the Matrix has got any real control over time. Time is just its own thing. It's part of. I mean, in the Trinity system of the supernal triad in the Tree of Life, let's say, time or Saturn is part of that Trinity, and it's all one thing. So time is a real thing. It's not an illusion, although it would seem like an illusion, in certain ways of looking at things from a sort of binary perspective. In terms of wisdom, the second sphere in the Tree of Life, Yeah, it seems like time is an illusion. You know, it's just a matrix. It's a matrix construct, and but thought takes time. You know, even though thought might be extremely quick, it's like another higher up. It's like, say, like from sound to light, there's a huge difference in speed, right? And from light to scalar waves, there's a huge difference in speed. So there must be also a difference between scalar waves and time. You know, like time is its own thing, separate, like on a much higher frequency than scalar waves, and there could even be other like orders of magnitude between scalar waves and time. And if you're not sure about, if you don't understand scalar waves are the way that electrons travel like throughout the whole universe and back again 10 to the power of 23 times every second. You know, that's where the idea of scalar waves come from. So like 10, like a 1 with 23 zeros on the end of it, that's how many times an electron travels to the end of the universe and back again each second. And they are scalar waves, right? That's how you basically, you know, explain how scalar waves are and what they are. I would postulate that time it operates on another higher order of magnitude that is probably, you know, each time you get one scalar wave, there are like trillions and trillions and trillions of time fragments that are like fill up every single like tiniest little space in the whole universe and log them and make a sort of like on-off binary or even trinary record of what's going on, you know, so that there are codes that can isolate moments in time and space, but they're extremely difficult to like understand, and they're very long and complicated codes. They're bound to be, you know, so therefore, by their very nature, they would be very, very difficult to understand, and you'd have to exist in some sort of, you know, alternate reality in order to understand and comprehend them. But they most certainly must exist. Okay, so it's quite difficult to talk about things like the written word without it getting a bit esoteric and difficult to pin down. And excuse me, I'm just like, I've got loads of I'm expecting deliveries today. I've ordered loads of stuff, you know. It's like I made a decision recently, really. It's sort of like there's things I want, and I don't know if I wait until I feel like I can afford them. Then a lot of the other things, I mean, it's like I just can't afford to wait. I've taken one of the things about going on the path, right, for me, in terms of financial things and managing time. I'm having to do things that put me in debt, but there doesn't, you know, it's not like the end of the world. You know, I'm just getting in debt. A lot of people in debt. Most people are in debt, right? And I mean, people get a mortgage. It's like they're in debt. Now, I'm not in debt. My debt is like less than £1,000, so it's not a huge amount of money. It's not very much, but it's a little bit uncomfortable. I have to pay a price for that debt. You know, so many pounds a month, maybe like 10 or 15 pounds a month, something like that. But it seems like some of the things that I'm doing hold a lot of like promise. Um, and it means that, you know, what I'm doing is I'm investing in myself. You know, if I feel happier, more confident, more grounded, more healthy, you know, then £1,000 is not a lot of money, because I'm going to need those things, you know, in order to sort of see me into the future. You know, whereas if I'm not feeling happy and I'm not healthy and not grounded, then I'm throwing my life away. It's almost like, you know, investing in myself, getting like these supplements and certain lifestyle changes makes such a huge difference to my overall sense of well-being, that it opens up doors. It opens up the future. That extra little £16 a month, I mean, it pays for itself. A lot of the things I'm buying will probably become more expensive. I've already experienced it. I'm already seeing it. I'm buying these things, and in the future, I would have waited to buy them, and the price has gone up. So I've not actually gained anything from waiting, you know, to buy them until I can afford it more easily. Actually, I would be better off buying it now and getting into debt and getting the more benefits. So I'm you know, working on more efficiently, so I can increase my income because I've got more energy and I can do more things. Uh, I mean, it's not like these things are all straightforward at all. Basically, nothing in life is straightforward. So anyway, let me just, because I make these videos and I started out and it's like I could easily lose track of where I was going. But Solomon, the fact that I mentioned Solomon, so this video must be about the written word. So it must be also connected to Socrates and Enoch. You know, Enoch walked with God. God told him that the written word is you know, a bad idea. Okay, one of the things that I've been thinking about lately is why don't I get any response from talking about the written word? Now, what I've noticed is that when academics write about Plato and Socrates and his like idea about the written word being a terrible thing, they all come to the same conclusion, that we wouldn't know about Socrates if we didn't have Plato writing it down. So we, you know, QED, the written word must therefore be a good thing. Seems to be really fucking stupid. It's like right away you're saying, oh no, Plato's an idiot. Got to try again for the door. See, that's the one I wanted. I just made so many like orders recently. I just got into like a sort of thing. I thought, well, there's no point trying to save money if I'm just like not making enough progress to make more money in the future. So it's better to get in a little bit of debt and give myself every opportunity and chance to sort of improve myself, because it's like in life insurance, but much better than life insurance. But it's like you know, people do life insurance, and what's happened to that money? It's going to their relatives when they die. I mean, it's pretty much a sort of stupid way of doing things. I mean, I'm not saying if your life is working out well and you've got loads of money, why not do life insurance as well? You know, to sort of like, because you know, you could basically make money out of it and make that money for your children and stuff, and or beneficiaries. So you know, it can work. I'm not saying it can't work, but I reckon the first thing you should do is look after your own life and your own sort of well-being. Oh yeah, I've got this. This is. Oh dear, I'm probably a bit naive. You know, some of the things I found out by doing the work is that I make mistakes. You know, I'm not perfect all the time. I make stupid like purchases, and they don't always work right. Now this, I don't like the look of this at all. It looks wonky. You know, I just bought this like tourmaline. What's it called? It's way wonky. I'm sure of that. Am I an idiot? It was only about £9 anyway, and people have recommended it to me. It's like this tourmaline, like orgonite. It's to do with these scalar waves that I was just talking about. So it's quite coincidental and synchronistic that I've got it while I'm talking about it on video for the first time. It just suddenly come through the post. I didn't know when to expect it, but yeah, here it is. I ordered it about a week ago. It's just come through. I'm just going to put it on the floor. Down underneath my computer and stuff, and that's supposed to like make all the bad energies go away and replace them with good energies, you know. Excuse me a moment, I'll be back and open my other packages right in a minute. Right. So have you people heard of the 80-20 rule? There's this rule, like it was 80% and 20%. Okay, this is how it works to me, as far as I'm concerned, doing the work, right? What's happened, and it's not all that encouraging probably for people, you know, doing the work, but over a long period of time, it does work out. You've got to have a long-term approach, and this is what's happened, right? I've ordered a lot of supplements and tried out a lot of supplements, and at the end of the day, over the years, it's like there's only probably about 20% of the supplements that I've researched and ordered and tried that I'm still sticking with, like constantly. But those 20% are giving me like 80% benefits of like in my life. You know, my life is really, really expanding in terms of potential and all the benefits I'm getting for these things. And I'm still finding out new ones, you know. There's still like a whole load of areas for me to try. And it's not just supplements, but different types of exercises and lifestyle changes and that. I mean, that's not a very good analogy, the 80-20 rule, but it's like it's heading towards the truth of what I'm trying to get at. Okay, what have we got here? Oh, yeah. Copper. I mean, copper is good for the hair, keeping my hair color. You know, I've been going grey for a long time, since I was like 29 years or something. I've been going grey. I started, the first bits of grey was like 29 years ago. And obviously it's got more gradually, and I've still got a fair amount of dark hair still. It's just that some of the greys, like, sort of like, are in prominent areas. So like right at the front of my hair, so it's sort of like this grey streak. It sort of like makes me seem more grey than I am, you know. Whereas and I've noticed that when I like say, it looks quite dark, doesn't it? The rest of my hair there, there's only a few tiny streaks of grey. But if you see that little bit of the front flopping over, you know, it looks like I'm nearly all grey. You know, you think, oh, he's 50% grey. Actually, I'm probably only about 20% grey. It's just that they're in prominent areas. And it's been like that. I started growing grey nearly 30 years ago. So it's not like, you know, in theory, I've still got another 100 years to go before I'm completely grey, if it carries on at the rate that it's been going, you know. So anyway, it's things like this, taking copper supplements that slows the graying process down and can even reverse it. And there's all sorts of other things as well that can do that, that are worth looking into. And, you know, people have got their own different stuff. And as I say, it's like, I've been looking at this for 5 years. 5 years is a long time to sort of like devote your spare time, you know. And I basically got rid of my social life. It wasn't working for me. And so I've been working on, you know, finding out the best stuff. Dr. Benjamin Spock, Parenting. It's like it's like one of these really popular books, and it's just like, I just thought I'd better get it because I've not read it, and it's so well read. It's so well read that, and like, it's such a popular book. It's one of the best-selling books of all time, you know, and it seems stupid. Like, it's one of those books. I've just got another book actually recently. Another book that's like that. Not quite as old. The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. Now, you might not think this has got a lot to do with the work, but as far as I'm concerned, the work involves all different areas of life. You know, money is a big area of life. You know, we're not taught about money, so people like tend to sort of not really make it a priority, and but it's quite important. You know, there's a lot of doors open to you if you've got a lot of money. So this is also, most people have children or want to have children. So knowing how to go about it in the most positive way and beneficial way is like, it's one of those books that's highly recommended by a lot of successful people. You know, if you're not looking after your children properly, and they become dysfunctional, that can affect the whole of your life. You know, so if you know how to keep your children happy and like, you know, optimal, and they can actually become like something where they're giving you back. You know, you're not just supporting them and they're like a sort of drain on your energy. If nature works and takes its course, I haven't actually read that book yet, but I've only just got it, as you can see. It should be worked the other way around. You know, they end up giving you stuff back. You know, if you've done the best for them, they're automatically going to want to do the best for you. It's like, and if you don't do the best for them, then they won't do the best for you. My parents were pretty fucking useless, retarded, you know, kind of monster type people. And I feel partly ashamed to say it, because I know there's a strong stigma about this, and a lot of people don't. If they've had terrible parents, they don't want to like shame their parents by talking about it. I'm foaming at the mouth again. That. But if you don't talk about it, it never gets discussed, and then nothing ever changes. So, you know, it's like, as far as I understand it, it's like something like our Chinese wisdom, like the I Ching or some other Confucian stuff or something, where they say a man should never like say anything bad about his father, you know, no matter how he was like. But I think there's got to be exceptions, you know. How do I explain how I am? You know, I've got all this trauma. I've got traumatic stress disorder. Basically, a lot of it was caused by my parents through their inadequacy and stupidity and sort of pride and just sinfulness, really. So what am I supposed to do? Try and pretend all that shit come from somewhere else, you know? Well, it didn't, and I'm sure a lot of it. Look at Dan Payner's videos. He really, there's some funny videos where he gets a whole room of people, and they've paid £20,000 to come for 1 week to his castle in his island in Scotland for for these 8 days seminar. And he tells them really, really bluntly, all their parents were pieces of shit and real arseholes and spineless fucking jellyfish, you know. And none of them try to defend themselves or their parents, because they know he's talking the truth. You know, this guy is a very, very successful billionaire, and he knows what he's talking about. You know, he's got proven results over and over again. You can't really argue with him, and it's true what he says. Nearly everyone, your parents are fucking total pieces of shit. And now most people have got an inbuilt biological kind of argument against this, but it's not like to do with logic. It's to do with pride and ego, you know, and like not wanting your like your territory to be trampled on by someone bigger. You know, you try to defend yourself, you try to stick thorns out to protect yourself, you know, but ultimately it's you can't pretend, you can't protect yourself from the truth. So there may be some beneficial ideas to this idea that you shouldn't criticize your parents or accept any criticism of your parents, no matter what. But I think that actually that is a really stupid idea in the long term. And if you want to progress humankind, if somebody is fucked up, the only sensible, straightforward thing to do is to point out that they fucked up. You don't have to make a big deal. You don't have to spend your whole life standing there pointing at it. But just for 5 minutes, just say, look, that's a fuck up. You've made a big mistake. You ain't fitting, you know, you're not doing what's best for the greater good. You are like are an embarrassment to the human race. You know? Now, my dad was a real arsehole, but he was also beaten for being left-handed when he was a child at school. So it's arguable that a lot of his you know, nastiness and fucking, you know, curmudgeonly, you know, willful ignorance and fucking madness was inflicted on him by the school system, which comes from bureaucrats, which is what I've been like arguing against, you know. So I will say my dad was a real arsehole, and my mum, they were both left-handed. They were both given a hard time at school. My mum was called cack-handed, which means shit-handed, because most people in the world at the time used their left hand to wipe their bottom, and so the left hand was associated with bottom wiping, so therefore cack-handed, shit-handed, you know. And my dad was beaten for being left-handed, and they stopped that. My mum's a bit younger than my dad, so she didn't get the beating, but she was still called shit-handed, you know. That's another thing, you know, just while I'm on the subject of whinging, just going to get this off my chest. The sins of the father shall be like punished onto the third and fourth generation, but it's in the Bible somewhere. This seems a bit unfair, you know, if your parents are being beaten for being left-handed, right? And then why am I getting punished for this, you know? Because I am. It's like my dad was a fucking monster. He was a fucking monster. I'm not. This is the thing. When the Chinese thing about, you shouldn't say anything bad about your father. It's like, well, he was a fucking monster. There has to be some exceptions. What if your father is like fucking, you know, Mao Zedong, or you know, or what's the other guy? The guy in the Philippines. It was done on the killing fields. You know, whoops, that's your father. He killed 3 million people, innocent people, for no good reason, just because they didn't have the sort of blood type he liked, you know, or the DNA that he liked. So he just killed them all, really horribly. Is that okay? Oh, and I'm just supposed to say my dad was the good guy. I don't want to say anything bad about him. And he killed 3 million people because he was a real arsehole and a monster, right? No, I'm going to say the truth. Yeah, I'll agree. He was a fucking monster. And my dad didn't kill 3 million people, but he was still a complete arsehole. You know, he was a bully and a tyrant, a petty tyrant. I know it doesn't achieve anything, but, you know, it's like talking about it like this. But the thing is, and probably women are going to think, oh, if your father was a fucking piece of shit and your mother was a piece of shit, probably means you're a piece of shit as well. Well, the thing is, I would be a piece of shit if I pretended that they weren't pieces of shit. And I sort of like forged my way into a relationship by pretending everything was okay. So, you know, there's two sides to this. There's another side. You know, I'm just dealing with reality and trying to fix it. All you other people, as far as I can tell, are not trying to fix it, and you're doomed. You're destroying the world. This is why I'm not having any children. I'm not interested in women and children, because I see that you're all destroying the world. And it's not. I'm not going to like you know, to make a bad gamble. I'm sure that there's other things. You know, there are other aspects to life. It's not all black and white. We don't know. I'm probably a lot better off, right, in terms of my options, in trying to focus on my own afterlife. You know, look after my own afterlife rather than worry about, you know, is there enough people looking after the world? Are we going to carry on populating the world? There's fucking nearly 8 billion. There's about 8 billion people. There's no fucking danger of there not being enough humans to carry on populating the world for the foreseeable future. And it's such a huge amount of energy to put into life to raise children when almost everyone is doing the same thing. It's not a good thing. It's not going to like make any real difference. Do you know what? I feel like I'm getting more stupid talking to you people, because like talking down to your level makes me more stupid, right? There's so few people on here that I get any reactions from that are actually like anywhere near the level of competence of intelligence that I'm operating on. It just feels like I'm dumbing myself down just even trying to make videos to talk to you people. I feel like for the vast majority of the time, I'm having to talk down on such a low level. It actually is making me more stupid. And this is one of the things about the written word, going back to Solomon and stuff. This other book I've been reading about the left and right side of the brain, right? This guy, one of the things he comes up with is that he says a few things, right? He says the left brain is parasitical on the right brain, right? The right brain is your hardcore, fundamental connection to reality. It's like your video cam and microphone, right? And smell detector. It's your five senses all plugged into a sort of like a sort of open memory system. You know, relatively unprogrammed. It's got its own inherent like natural programming of understanding things. So it sees the big picture. It deals with raw data. Now that then forms a sort of like image, and then the left brain takes that image and that information and reduces it down into words, right? And inevitably, huge amounts of information is lost, and those words start building up a narrative, like, in other words, like a map made of words, you know, so that you build up a narrative, like a story about reality. But that story becomes highly edited, highly reductionist, and is essentially almost perfectly useless. You know, it does get by. People can get by with it, and long enough to reproduce and have more children, which they tend to do very quickly if they're left-brained dominant, because if they're stuck in the left brain, they've got no inhibitions when it comes to things like having children. They're not thinking logically whether or not it's a good idea to have children. They're thinking biologically, and biologically, their biology is always telling them to have more children. It's what it does. You know, that's why. And this is where it becomes difficult trying to explain it to left-brain people. That's why humans are the top species. It's because we've got the ability to switch out of the left brain into our right brain, you know, in theory, when we choose to. But you've all been deceived by the written word, and you've become locked in your left brain. And the written word, the way it's got so much prominence in our world, like it's taken the place of God. The written word has taken the place of God, right? And it's you left brain people that have made it so. You know, you don't understand that you're being totally deceived. You won't be told that you're being totally deceived. People like me can't get through to you because you already know best. It doesn't fit with your map. I've realized this. No one talks to me about the written word when I try making videos about it. There's only one explanation. You're all totally brainwashed, but you all think the same thing, that I must be wrong. So there's no point answering me because I must be wrong. You know, you're not even giving me the benefit of the doubt by engaging me in conversation. You've already concluded totally for sure that you're right and I'm wrong. Socrates was wrong, right? Even though Oracle at Delphi insisted that he was the wisest man alive at the time. You know, it's like this level of total. It's like you've got such huge pride, like the devil. The amount of pride you people have gotten, so being so sure of yourselves, you know. And I'm just this one little person who likes to wear yellow, right? I'm this one little person, and no one, it seems, I mean, I'm not saying everyone on the internet listens to what I say, but you're not sharing my videos. No one is curious enough to try and ask anyone else, share my videos, you know, or do I have to go around every fucking billion, like 2 or 3 billion people and share my videos with them. You know, like that's going to actually happen. None of you have got the intelligence to think. Ask yourselves, maybe this guy's what he's saying is true, and the written word really is a serious problem, like Socrates said and Enoch said. You know. Dear. Anyway, thank you guys, because by your silence, right, you're making this whole thing into such a big deal, right? You're making it hilarious, and you're just feeding me loads of power, and I'm not going to stop, because I'm onto such a good thing. Like I said, this is a hot potato, and I've got a free, great big, hot, perfectly cooked potato, and I'm just letting it cool down, and I've got free food for the foreseeable future, you know. And I know that, luckily for me, right, you're virtually all left-brain people, and you can't understand what I'm talking about, and you can't see what I'm seeing, because you haven't got access to your right brain. If you did, you would probably talk. Somebody would have spoken to me. They would have acknowledged that, yes, I see. You can see what's going on in the world. Yeah, this written word thing is a terrible idea, just like Socrates said. It seems obvious. These written word people are destroying the planet. They're completely insane, and they're dangerous. Let's try and put a stop to it. Let's just talk about it. You know, that seems like the civilized, enlightened, intelligent, human thing to do, right? But don't share my video, because I don't want. I just want to be there. I'm just looking at it. It's already been 5 or 6 years, and nobody's talked to me about it. I'm just thinking, I want to go 20 years or 25 years, and still no one talks about it. Just imagine what a buzz I'm going to be on. I just imagine the sort of enormous buzz, the massive ego, sort of swollen, self-satisfaction of knowing that for 25 years, not a single person has managed to grasp the importance of what I'm saying. Even though other incredibly wise and intelligent people have already said this hundreds or thousands of years ago, you're all still so blind and stupid that you're just will not deal with reality at all, you know. And so the thing comes into play that, the one-eyed man is king in the kingdom of the blind, and from what I can tell, I live in a kingdom of the blind, and it doesn't matter what I try to do or say to try and get people to remove their blindfold, essentially, because you're only blind because you've got a blindfold on that you've allowed to be there. You can take it off at any time. It's like going from the left brain to the right brain. It's like going from a map into the real world. This is why you're all frightened. You don't want to have to deal with reality. You much prefer the map. This is the problem why people stay trapped in the left brain, because they're not having to deal with reality. It's much easier, but it's not at all satisfying. That's the problem. You don't get any benefit out of life. You're wasting your lives. There's loads and loads of evidence, very, very strong evidence to back up what I'm saying, you see. So it's really hard, strong evidence, and there's loads of it, and it's irrefutable. So I know what I'm saying is basically true. And I know that the people that are watching my videos and won't talk to me about the written word are completely and utterly deceived. And I'm doing everything I fucking can to try and help you people, and allow it and help you to realize, unlock what's stopping you enjoying the world and getting a great deal of benefit from it, and making yourselves into humans. But instead, you're like orcs. You're like fucking the Borg from Star Trek. You're like computer programs. You're two-dimensional. and you need to sort of like snap out of it and see, the problem is, right, you as a left brain people, you want a little pill to take. I'll take the red pill. It's like there isn't a fucking red pill. The red pill is like doing the work, realizing that that your left brain is deceiving you, and it's your consciousness, it's your internal dialogue, it's your narrative that you're telling yourself is a trap. It's that you have to switch it off so that you can go into the right brain and see how the world really is, at least temporarily. And for the most of you, you've been conditioned, and now you see anything like that as extremely frightening, because you can't label everything. That you've got so used to that internal dialogue, that narrative, that anything other than that is like makes you feel extremely uncomfortable. But what you have to realize is that all nature is like that. All nature, all the animals are in their right brain nearly all the time. It's what's natural for all life. You people, you're under the influence of the devil, being stuck in the left brain. The left brain is supposed to be a servant of the right brain. I mean, this guy, Ian McGilchrist, he acknowledges that. He's very clear about that. The left brain is dependent on the right brain, is parasitical on the right brain, is meant to be a servant of the right brain. But this is not how 90% of you are operating. You're operating as though the left brain was the master. And from someone who's in the right brain, you look incredibly fucked up, incredibly stupid and dangerous, and like total fucking monsters. Well, I'm foaming at the mouth again. Ah, dear. So it's one of those things. It's like it's straightforward, but what's not straightforward is trying to get through to left brain people, to get them to sort of stop like holding on so desperately to their left brain view of the world. Which is like it's like an addiction. It makes them feel comfortable. It's a sort of form of security. It's like a security blanket, and they never ever want to let go of it. And because they never let go of it, they can't update their view of the world. They can't like remove all the viruses in their left brain programming sort of description of the world and update it to make it more in tune with reality, what's really going on. So they end up like totally wasting their whole lives. And I've made loads of videos, and nobody talks to me about it. No one is prepared to talk to me about what's going on these sort of levels. There are other people that talk about this. I mean, David Icke, to some extent, talks about some of this stuff. Mark Passio. There are a few other people, that like gloss over this sort of this subject a little bit. But when it comes to relating it to the written word, I haven't got anyone. I'm the only person I know of that focuses on it. The closest I've come so far is I've found academic literature that talks about Plato's work and dismisses what Socrates says about the written word simply because we wouldn't know about it if Plato didn't write it down. Now, the problem with that is, well, if Plato wrote it down, there was no need for other people to remember it because it's written down. Or if people do talk about it because they remembered it, other people who are academics and have read philosophy would say, oh, I read that in Plato, it's written in Plato. So the only references you're ever going to get are from Plato. Whereas if Plato didn't write it down, then people could have remembered it. It's such an annoyingly stupid left brain sort of like stupid reductionist way of trying to settle an argument and dismiss it out of everybody's mind. It fucking infuriates me because it's so obviously fucking stupid. You know, it makes me. I can't really try and. I don't know how to sort of talk calmly about it. Every angle that could lead to sort of like enlightenment and a better world has been blocked off by academics, and they're trying to keep everyone in the dark and in a stupid way. And I talk about this and show and point out very clearly where you're being misled. And does anyone share these videos? Does anyone talk to me about it? No one talks to me about it. No one shares these videos. It's like, well, you know, this is great from my point of view, because I've got a documented history of speaking the absolute fucking truth that people eventually are going to have to fucking acknowledge is right. And no one is fucking taking me seriously at all. No one at all. For years and years and years, not even the slightest fucking questioning. You know, it's like you've gone totally silent. Now, this is, to me, it's so fucking huge. I can't even contain it. You know, I didn't really expect to be on such a big platform, but you've given me so much silence over such a long period of time. There is no alternative explanation. Nobody's saying to me, oh, I'm an idiot. Can't you see the fucking truth? No one said that. You know? If I'm so wrong, right, why isn't anyone talking about it? If I'm right, why isn't anyone talking about it? Why are you so fucking dumb? Literally dumb, as in not being able to speak. As it's like a synonym for stupid. You know? And I keep also mentioning our fucking school system is force feeding you the written word. I think it's almost like antibiotics, how they make people fat. It's like the written word makes people stupid because it's supposed to do, you know, it's supposed to make you healthy. Like the antibiotics are supposed to make you healthy, right? What do? They make you unhealthy. The written word is supposed to make you more intelligent, but what does it actually do? It makes you more stupid, right? Okay, so people are starting to figure out that antibiotics are bad for you and they make you fat, right? And unhealthy, right? Okay, now I just wish that people would start to understand about the written word and, by extension, the computers. I mean, I'm telling you people the truth. Everyone's gone quiet. Why? That is a sign that you are totally brainwashed and totally in denial. You're exhibiting all the fucking symptoms of brainwashing and denial. Why? Would someone answer the question, please? Why is nobody talking to me about it? Because I know the only possible answer you can come up with is going to make you all look fucking stupid and delinquent. Just fucking give me an answer that makes sense, right? And I guarantee it will make everyone look stupid and delinquent. The only answer you can possibly come up with that makes any sense at all as why in 5 years of me making videos or more, no one has come up with any sort of communication about why I'm talking about the written word being a great evil, right? The only answer you can possibly come up with to explain why this is happening will make everybody seem totally stupid and delinquent, right? Just prove me otherwise. Prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong so that I can just get on with my life, you know. Oh, look, I'm foaming at the mouth again. Okay, that's enough foaming of the mouth for today. Okay, thanks for watching. I don't know how you could possibly have lasted an hour and 10 minutes, like 70 minutes watching me just sort of rant on about like stuff that nobody wants to hear. So I just imagine no one's actually watching this video anymore. But anyway, it's opened up. I just want to say it's opened up a massive world for me that like is extraordinarily enjoyable and fun and funny and hilarious and absorbing. Bye.